One of the most distinctive features of the temple are the tiers of pulpits on both sides of these large rooms. Behind me, you see Melchizedek priesthood pulpits, after Melchizedek, a high priest in the Old Testament. On the east, Aaronic priesthood pulpits after Moses' brother Aaron. The letters represent different leadership quorum presidencies. So PDA on the bottom on the east for the deacons quorum presidency, PTA for the teachers, PAP for the priests, and BPA for the bishops presiding over the Aaronic priesthood. I don't know, though, exactly what those letters mean. Either didn't write it down or it didn't survive in the 1830s. So PTA, for example, might be presidents of the teachers of the Aaronic priesthood, but it might also be presiding teachers of the order of Aaronic or some other variation. I just know it's teachers. Behind me on the bottom level, PEM for the elders. Above that, an MHP for the high priests. Above that, a PMH for the high council, a judicial body. On top, an MPC for the first presidency, the three people presiding over the entire church. They normally, though, ignored these letters in the 1830s and would sit not by office, but rather by age. Older members up top to younger ones down bottom. To confuse me a little more, by the time these people built a temple in Nauvoo, Illinois, lots of Q's mixed in. What was certainly for quorum. What's most important about the letters on the pulpits, though, was that everybody was a new member at this point in time. And every time they came into the temple, the pulpits with the letters would teach them the administrative structure of their new church. We climbed stairs in an outer court to get here and are now in an inner court. Of course, Old Testament tabernacle and temple language. They also started to install in this room, but were not able to finish here, what they called veils or partitions. Like so many words in our history, veil, before you know what it means, you have to know when they're using it. So at this point in time, it's simply a room divider. It will become something different in Nauvoo. The plan here was to wrap canvas around the large wooden rollers attached to the ceiling. They're going to attach ropes to those rollers, thread them through little receivers in the ceiling. It was to go into the crawl space, down into the columns, around windlasses inside some of the little doors we'll see. We're going to put a crank on these metal rods and start turning and crank these massive curtains up and down. So one large classroom space, this was going to be for priesthood and leader education. So one large classroom space, they're going to drop the canvas in an opening running east-west and another one that runs north-south. They'd have 4 smaller classrooms. They could teach 4 separate subjects perhaps at the same time. They could also divide off around and between each level of the pulpits for privacy in which to study or pray, or at least that's the plan. Again, not finished here. Downstairs, in and functioning and used regularly. The pew boxes with pews, the pew boxes, they're New England heritage. That's the way you built a church where these people were coming from. But here, the pews are not attached, the bench is not attached. They slip back and forth so we can face either end, depending on who's in charge at the time. The desktops out here in the middle, later additions, they flip up and lock into place. On the columns, you see large Greek frets, pieces of wood cut out, applied to form that pattern. Remember, downstairs, we're going to see something very different. We're going to move now to the attic offices or school rooms. That's up another 33 steps to get there.